I'm so sorry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Why Disability Representation Matters panel. I am Mindy Scheier. I am the founder and CEO of GAMUT Management and Runway of Dreams Foundation. As a visual descriptive, I am a white woman with curly red hair. I'm wearing an emerald green blouse with a tie in the front, and I am proudly 51 years old. Why are we here today? So, Gamut Management is a consulting and talent management company exclusively for people with disabilities, as well as working exclusively with brands to enter into the adaptive space and or if they're in the adaptive space, how to navigate the journey. And we do all of that with and for people with disabilities by our side. During this last couple of days, we have heard a lot of noise and want to respond in an appropriate way on why disability matters. And we always do that with people with disabilities, being the lead and being the voice. The panelists today do not represent the full capacity of the world of disabilities. They have voices and will respond appropriately, as we know that disability is both visible and invisible, and it is the largest minority on our planet, with an estimated 1.8 billion people globally. And these amazing panelists are going to share their voices on that. As noted in the chat, this streaming platform unfortunately does not offer closed captioning. We will be working with them on that to make sure that that's improved. And we will be uploading a version with captions after so that everyone can really authentically listen and enjoy this. But we are always open. Please send us feedback on always how we can do things better and in a more inclusive manner. So, with that, I am a very big believer in having our panelists introduce themselves. And before we do that, a huge thank you to Flamingo Interpreting for always being by our side and being our greatest partner to make everything that we do as accessible as possible. Danny, I'd love to start with you, please.
Oh, you starting with me? Okay.
Yes.
Good to see you, Mindy. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for having me. My name is Danny J. Gomez. I'm a Latino male wearing a blue sweater. I'm also a spinal cord injury survivor, if you will, T11, T12. So I use a manual wheelchair. I'm also an actor and model. I've modeled for a few runway shows and other campaigns, and I've done various TV and movie work as well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Haleigh.
Hi, Mindy. Hi, everybody. I'm Haleigh. I am a 34-year-old white female, and I am a paraplegic using a manual wheelchair as well. Thank you all, and I'm excited to get started.
Amazing. Amanda.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Clark. I represent the Limb Difference community, and I have been with GAMUT for a little over 2 years, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to do this finally.
Thank you. Chris.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris. I am a professional speaker by trade, also a record-holding powerlifter. I'm a 32-year-old white male, and I'm excited to be here and have this conversation today.
Thank you, Chris. And Steffi.
Hi, I'm Steffi. I am a disability activist, also a lifestyle and beauty content creator. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. I'm very excited to be here and talk about this topic that we need to talk about.
Perfect. Thank you all. Just another special appreciation to you all jumping on so quickly, as it is really part of our goal and mission at GAMUT to always give our talent and the population a voice, to speak about your experience in the world of disability. So, Haleigh, I'd love to jump right in with you, as in case our audience doesn't know. It's actually the image of Haleigh in the Skims campaign that was specifically called out during the very public conversation about disability inclusion. So, Haleigh, I'd love to have you share about what your reaction was to this.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, prior to this, I really was not aware of who Candace Owens is or what her whole gig is about. So I had a friend send me it, and within the next morning, I had 5 more friends send me it, and I knew that I had to respond, obviously, off of what she was saying. I was not only disgusted, but I find it really damaging to use the words that she used and speak about a community that she knows nothing about. I find her to speak on uneducated topics. And, for me, it was more about like, is there even a chance of educating someone like this? Or is it just going in circles because she doesn't want to learn?
We're going to do our best, and that's really one of the reasons why we're all here, is to try and educate. But I would love you, if you could, just to expand a little bit on why is it damaging?
Yeah, it's damaging, first of all, because we've worked so hard to get this far, and to have someone just come in and say, these crazy comments about people in wheelchairs or people with disabilities shouldn't be in ads, basically, it's just wild. It makes no sense to me. I don't, look at anybody as different. So for me, it's really damaging to hear those words. I mean, there are plenty of people in the disabled community. I mean, we are a huge group, right? I think that's partially why this blew up so much. And we all know how hard we worked to get here. So to have her say that to her audience was terribly damaging.
Thank you for being so candid and open on that. And I do want to just underscore how magnificent you were in that campaign, strong, bold, and it really showed the level of change that our world is experiencing. So I don't want that to go without being said. Steffi, over to you, because you were also directly involved in the fodder, so to speak, as you had a social response that ultimately was mocked and used in videos. So I would love to have the audience hear your perspective and what it meant to you.
So I did not expect for it to take off the way it did. I did do like a direct call to action for whoever sees this video, tag her, because I want her to see this. So it wasn't so much of a shock when she shared it. It was a shock because of the lack of restraint that she had in everything that she said. But I think ultimately, I think she mocked herself. Mm-hmm. Because in the initial video, she said everything was focused on the Skims ad. People in wheelchairs, people with disabilities don't belong there. But when I responded to her and I said, our goal is to be in every industry, her response is, you guys don't belong in any of it. So it was really like, kind of like secondhand embarrassment. Like, you are going in circles. You are making yourself look worse. You are proving my point that it bothers you to see us not in an underwear ad, but it bothers you to see us in general. Mm. And I'm glad that I sparked whatever I sparked in her to make that reaction video, because we got to see even more in depth of her true colors, of her true intentions, and those who follow her, whoever agrees with her. It was kind of like that aha moment. We thought we have gotten so far in the acceptance, and you just proved to us that there is still so much stigma. So if anything, she mocked herself. She gave us a lot to work with. And at the end of the day, she gave away her platform, because it was more of the people that disagreed with her that love her than the people who were 100% backing her.
Yeah, I love what you're saying right now, because it's opening an opportunity for conversations like this, which are so needed. Danny and Chris, because this is, you know, such a big topic beyond lingerie and imagery of a woman in a wheelchair. Your voices are so important in this, and because we've had the privilege of being able to see you on your professional journeys. I would love to hear from you. And Danny, I'm going to start with you. You've worked in the modeling space, acting space, and you're constantly fighting for accessible experiences on set and in studio. What was your reaction to the quote, "I am getting tired of all this inclusivity thing, of this all inclusivity thing"? Danny.
Sorry, I was muted. Getting muted. Okay. Someone keeps muting me every time I try to talk. At first, honestly, it was the first reaction infuriating to see that someone could say something like that. I am aware of her. She has these crazy opinions about stuff like that, and it's sad because it's infuriating, and then it's sad because there's so many other issues in the world that you could be talking about, but then you attack a community that is always overlooked, and that just made me sad. And it's it's lack of education, and her saying something like that pretty much says that we're not included in this human race. Like we're not supposed to be alive, because we want basic human rights, as wearing clothes to be seen. And on the media side, if we start normalizing seeing people with disabilities on screen, because everybody watches TV, everybody watches movies, if we started seeing more people that look like us, that act like us on screen, it'll normalize things. So when we're out in public, people aren't staring. And it also starts with children and how we educate them to not point and stare or laugh, and just see us as normal everyday people. And that's it really starts with, from what my opinion, it starts with media, because everybody consumes media. So we need to be better about showcasing people with disabilities, so it's more normalized.
Can't see it, you can't dream it. You can't see it, you can't dream it. And that is such a prolific thing to think about, and quite true. Chris, I'm going to move over to you, because I think something that has really surfaced in this, and especially because you've worked with major fashion brands, you've been featured on websites, social media, and commercials also. What advice would you give to other members of the population and people with disabilities that are now afraid to put themselves out there for being mocked?
First and foremost, we have to understand that alarmism, controversy sells. She wanted a response. She got the response. Is that what she actually believes? Maybe, maybe not, honestly. She is a huge marketing vessel. So I give zero energy, attention, and effort to her facilitating her brand, whether it's crappy or not, which, we all kind of know. This person X, said something that was inflammatory to get a response, and she did her job. But our job is to tell the truth. And the truth is representation matters. So the fear, look how far we've come. We've come so far from being on TV shows and movies and amazing ads for adaptive clothing in general. When I first got involved with Runway of Dreams and GAMUT years ago, I was still hiding my hand after almost 20 years, So I think we are so much farther ahead than this blip in commentary, and understand that, like, the fear that comes from an ignorant comment or a misplaced comment or even a marketing comment, which is what I see it as, This person who said this stuff about our community would fight tooth and nail if we said something about her political party. What matters to her is her sole focus. And when you're this close to the wall, you can't see the bigger picture. All of us have backed up and we see the bigger picture. And everyone listening now, understand it's our job to help people give voices to the voiceless who have felt voiceless for so long. What happened a few days ago with her does nothing for my message and my mission to continue to facilitate and help the community.
Absolutely. And again, another perfect way to say why we're all here today to do just that. Thank you, Chris. Amanda, you have been in the Runway of Dreams New York Fashion Week show. You've been directly involved in focus groups to help brands understand how products can be adapted for people with disabilities. Can you share a little bit about what that means to you?
Absolutely. I never saw one like me growing up, and to understand that it's not just like me, but there's a whole community of people that are different like me. It meant this, my children, also my children have disabilities, and just see collectively we're a whole community and that we're here. Just sharing that, and those experiences are all human being to understand that own in that together, that, and not just not for me but now.
Absolutely. So that visibility, and Amanda, maybe we can get you a little closer to the mic because we're having a hard time hearing you. That visibility, whether it is sharing your voice with brands about the need and or being on, the New York Fashion Week runway, it is sharing that exposure to the world, and even as you just mentioned, to your direct family of what you can do together.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So again, our focus today is not about canceling. It's about educating. So let's really try to focus on just that and why disability representation matters. I would love, again, the panelists to kind of share their why. What do we want the listeners to really glean from this panel discussion? Chris, I'm going to jump in with you, please.
So representation matters. Growing up, I never had someone who had a disability, especially a male role model in that sense. So it would have been amazing to have that. I'm one of the lucky ones who made it through, and now it's my job to be that person I never had growing up. But the funny thing about discrimination doesn't exist unless you experience it. And if you've never experienced it specifically around ability or ableism in general, it's hard to understand that it exists because you've never experienced it. So one, we have to have the ability to listen. Are you willing to listen to the problems that exist outside of your personal community? If not, nothing will ever change. You know, representation as a kid looking at a TV and seeing, oh my God, this person who looks like me is always the villain. Thus, I must kind of be like that. Whether it's conscious or subconscious, there is an effect. There is a compound effect over time of seeing something or not seeing something portrayed in the media, which we all value heavily. Every single day you see it on TV, on billboards, while you're in your car, listening to radio, ads. You see this stuff, and whether you think it's affecting you or not, it is. It plays a role and it digs. So when we see representation, and we don't need the hero to look like a specific way, because all of you right now listening or even on this panel, when I say describe a hero or describe a villain, we go towards certain characteristics of both. And we don't often see a person in a wheelchair or a person who requires a specific communication, type or a specific, look. We don't associate that with power or strength, but we will. And we will through representation.
Absolutely. And from all of your voices coming together and as a community. And I also want to underscore, Chris, what you said, and that's about, you know, this enormous world that and minority that every single one of us could be a part of at some point in their life. It's the only minority that we can authentically say that about, and that is really important to listening and learning and growing. So thank you for sharing that. Steffi, what would be your why disability representation matters?
There is equity in disability representation and disability inclusion just as much as everyone else grew up with, oh my God, she looks like me, he looks like me, they look like me. We also wanted that. And like Chris said, a lot of us became that person for ourselves. And it matters because we are here. We are nothing new. We are not something that's going to go away. And we keep progressing as time passes by. So to go from this taboo thing, in the video that went viral of mine, there were comments saying, I will never forget when the UPS guy told me, wow, I've never seen a person in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
How far back are we still? It matters because we exist. That's very short form of saying it. We shouldn't even have to push a why it matters. We matter the same way you matter, the same way your minority matters.
Well said. Thank you. Haleigh.
To echo everyone else, pretty much, I, as someone who has lived a large part of my life able-bodied and then got paralyzed, I think representation matters to me because one, like everyone has kind of said, prior to my injury, I did not really know anybody in a wheelchair. I didn't have that education, and I can honestly say that. It's not something you're taught in school, really. And, if you don't have that, then what are you supposed to know about it realistically? So, now the reason that I love being part of this community so much is we all do try our hardest to educate people, and it matters to have kind of a role model or something to look up to. So when I book a job, it's not necessarily, there's the excitement of booking a job, right? But it really comes down to the bigger picture. When you get those pictures back, it's cool to see, but the bigger picture here is, someone else in a wheelchair is seeing that image and someone else is feeling like that's really cool. I remember, recently I went to the Abercrombie website and I didn't know that they had featured models in wheelchairs. And even now I saw it and I was like, wow, that's so cool to see. So, the big picture here is just trying to help other people overcome, whatever feelings they're going through, because they're completely valid. It's not, invalid to be confused about what, in my case, your new life might look like, right? But you can live a great life in a wheelchair, and it's important that people see that and know that.
Beautifully said. And that I love that you shared that about your journey, because you did have two lives, so to speak, one able-bodied and one your beautiful life in a wheelchair. And that's really important to note and to understand that equally are is important. So thank you for that candidness. Amanda, what is the why for you of disability inclusion?
Yeah, so I think that representation has always been a factor, whether it was right or whether it was wrong. And I believe that the disability community representation has always been deemed in the wrong representation. Um, it's about time that, people see us, see ourselves, which is brave and beautiful and courageous and entrepreneurs and moms. And we're so much. And I think that for a long time, just saying what our brother said really recently, that with the TV always been as villains and monsters, and not the case at all. That's not who people. And finally getting that spot, the side of who we really are, And then, having someone come and try to tamper that, just it really upsets me. And I feel like we just keep going. We need to keep growing because there's obviously still work that needs to be done. And I'm just very proud of the community, very proud that we didn't let anything stop us and that we kept going. And the best is yet to come.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Yeah, so I want to echo what Haleigh said because representation matters. Disability representation matters because you can become disabled in a snap of a finger. I lived a large part of my life as an able-bodied person as well, and one bike ride on one Friday afternoon, I became disabled from one accident. So this can happen to anyone. You can join our community in an instant. So it should matter to you because once you join our community, first you'll see that this community is amazing. It's full of love. When we see each other, there's an instant just brotherhood, sisterhood. We accept everyone. But what we don't see is ourselves on TV. So when I became disabled, I thought my life was over. I didn't realize that we can play sports, we can lead companies, we can act in movies, we can act in TV shows. And when I did see that, it opened up my world to all these possibilities. So it really matters because before my accident, I didn't know that it mattered. I was completely ignorant to everything disabled. I was awkward around disabled people. I didn't know how to talk to them. But all you have to realize is that we're just human beings. You just talk to us like we're normal human beings, if you will. So it does matter to educate yourself. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. And I am going to weigh in also as the mom of a now 18-year-old son with muscular dystrophy. My why and real reason for being in this space is because I want my son to grow up in a world that values him and believes in him and supports him as anybody else. And I have the gift of being on this journey with such extraordinary people and being able to hopefully help provide a platform. But that is most certainly my why of the connection. We really wanted to keep this to a fairly streamlined timeline. So I am a big believer in leaving our audience with a call to action and what would you like to see in the world? What leave behind would you like to share with our audience? Let's go, Amanda.
For me, I'd say that we need to start in school systems. We need to educate our children about disability awareness. They don't know about the ignorance out here. All they know is how to be friends with people. All they know is how to ask appropriate questions and try to really be authentic with it all. And I think that's where it starts, that we just need to nourish that and really just educate our children about disability awareness in the positive way that it is, and then it'll grow.
Thank you. Danny.
Definitely agree with that, Amanda. I would say as far as entertainment industry, we need non-disabled creators to write better stories for us so we can be seen in better lights in TV and film. I think it's super important, like with the children, besides being educated in school, they consume so much media on their phones and at home that to see us more often will make things not weird for them. So we just need to be seen in better lights in every situation.
Thank you. Haleigh.
I definitely agree with Amanda. First of all, I think that it does start at school age, just introducing people to the subject at all. But I would say, to the brands that haven't started being inclusive yet, what are you waiting for? I mean, it doesn't seem like there's any reason, and all of us should be included. All of these brands that do have inclusive ads or do make, you know, adaptive clothing, they're all doing great. So, you know, put us in. We're ready to go. So I don't know why they're not. And if they're scared to do it, you know, make the jump.
Chris, thank you, Haleigh.
There's a space between like pity and inclusion, and it's called humanity. So being human is vital, and understanding, asking a question like, oh, what should I call you? Should I call you disabled or handicapped or crippled? And I often respond with Chris. Chris is fine. We're more than our conditions, but we have a unique perspective that allows adaptability that maybe people have never recognized, whether it's a director, producer, anything like that. There's an opportunity here with us to not only facilitate like better acting, better, adapting around this portrayal of narratives that they've never got, but we can help a whole community of people that are underserved be served. Give us a chance.
Thank you. And Steffi.
So I think that social media is a big part of a lot of people's lives. You see us on social media. The best way that you can educate yourself is by allowing us to do that for you. Those of us who are on social media, follow us, share our content, our story. When we are featured in brands, hype up that brand. Tell that brand that's amazing. We love to see it. Give them that feedback that's going to give them that hype to continue including us. And I was featured in Aries storefronts, and I have little kids for one of the first times ever look at me with shine in their eyes, looking at me like, oh, that's, oh my God, and not, oh my God, what's wrong with her? And that's what it's about. That's what the brands are doing for us and with us. And whether you have a disability or you are an ally, amplify our voices in any capacity.
Beautiful. What a perfect way to end our conversation. But this will be the first of many, because this is part of the platform. It's why we are here, to be able to put your voices and the 1.8 billion people with disabilities on our planet out there to be heard and seen. So I am honored and humbled that I was able to be with you all today. And thank you for your strength, your vulnerability, your transparency, and most importantly, for your words of education, which is why we were here. Thank you so much. And if you want any more information or want to speak to any of our panelists, please feel free to email us at info@gamutmanagement.com. Thank you so much.